It's Saturday, May the 13th, 2023. And I just dropped out to apiary to see how things are going. And just to check that game cam. I haven't gotten any footage of that bear yet, but I'll keep checking it. The one thing I don't like about that game cam, and I guess they're probably all the same. I don't know much about them, so if you know more about it, maybe you can comment. But I'm more familiar with something like a dash cam, and what a dash cam does is it loops, so it'll continue to record video and overwriting the oldest video, and that way you will always get the last X number of hours of video. So that's good. You can come out and check your video, but with the game cam, and again, my understanding is they all work this way, it'll fill up the card and then it just stops. so you have to constantly come out with a new card and then take the other card back and see if you see anything interesting. And I would like it to loop. I would like there to be the option for it to loop, because sometimes, I would like to just let it run here and it just run constantly, and then if I see something out of place, then I can go back and review the footage, because it should be able to record depending on how much motion that it detects, it should be able to record many days of video and pictures before it starts to loop and overwrite. So anyway, that's one of those things. What I'm doing here right now is I'm just going to check this one hive. I have a small claim in with the conservation really is who foots this, but it's administered by our agriculture department for just compensation for some of the loss that I've incurred because of this bear. And I haven't lost much, but they said that's fine, we'll cover it anyway. And it's not 100%, it's 90% coverage, but there's no deductible and there's no limit, there's no minimum. So I know I've lost a queen over there in that nuke, and this one here behind the camera is the other one that he went through. It was a really nice colony and dumped it on the ground. I can see that I actually tested that colony at 1% varroa infestation, which was lower than almost everything else, except for the 1-0 over there. I had a 0. So it actually was a pretty nice colony, and it still is. I think there's a lot going on there still. But I told them that she phoned me. Yes, actually she was proactive and phoned me yesterday and asked me, how it was going and what my claim was going to be. And I said, well, I really haven't queen checked this one, and so I promised her that I'd get that done this weekend. So that's why I'm here. I'm going to do this, and so I brought you along. So we'll just do a good old-fashioned queen check. I'm going to try and do this without the smoker, because you know what happens? You think, oh, I'll just do this one little thing and I won't bother with the smoker. Well, that's when you get crap stung out of you, right? So it might be, they don't like that microphone, so it might be highly entertaining here. You never know. I am going to put my veil on though, but just to warn you too, when you get a shot of this, I finally washed out the bee barn today. Always needs to be washed out after the winter, and I always want to wait until it's warmer so that it's pressure washer and running the garden hose and all that kind of stuff. So I did that today. It's a pretty big job. I have to unload the building and then wash it out and load the building back up, but it's a good way to then reorganize and use the space more efficiently. So I am, as usual, wearing shorts, but I'm also wearing rubber boots. So those two things don't really go together, but they're going together today. So forgive me. It's quite a statement to wear shorts and rubber boots. Okay, I'm going to put this veil on because, I don't know, seem to be jumping on me. And you'll notice I did actually go ahead and cut the extra strings off my veil. I've made arm loops out of the strings, and that seems to work really well. Gonna have to collect some of my jars. They're starting to get empty. All right. Let's see. This is a J20. This is one of these old J20s. So she's an old queen, and I was hoping to graft off of this year. I have a sneaky suspicion that I'm going to get pounded here. They remember things like bear attacks. You maybe remember the video where I tried to pick this up and they were having none of it. So they may still have that. They're a little bit jumpy there. I might need to get that smoker. I don't hear them roaring like they would if they had no queen. Try to clean this a little bit. Yeah, see that one. Got a nice amount of pollen in that frame. Some of that syrup that I've been feeding them too. Nice and warm coming out of there. Okay, I'm seeing eggs here, so we are good. We are good here. Lots of pollen. Oh yeah, that natural pollen's been coming in for, probably it's a week or 2 weeks, somewhere like that. Okay, we're gonna button this up. Mess around, we'll just get stung. I'll leave them alone. They seem to be still chewing away on that patty. I'll put it in the middle. I'm not putting the jar back on anyway. I'll get a plug for them. Okay, I'm happy about that because that's not only just a queen. That's a queen I want to breed off of because she has these J20s have been very vigorous and long-lived. So I definitely want to. That's a breeder queen for me. Okay, so I just need to get a plug for that hole. That's all I need to do. It's Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. I apologize, I'm kind of looking at the sun here. And I'm just out in the apiary for a little while today. So what I've been doing for the last few days is trying to work in the shop as much as I can. This woodenware order I have is going way too late. Customer is wanting his product, and he's not being a nuisance about it. He's been very, very patient, but he definitely wants a product. And I want to get paid. So I have to really work hard at that. I'm not working in the apiary as much as I'd like. As a result, I've also been rendering some frames in the honey house with my melter. So I haven't really shown any of that. The lighting in there is bad at the moment, but I'm just putting the frames in there with no water this time. And I'm running the melter at 75C, and that really brings the comb. It melts the wax. Wax starts to melt about 70C, so it melts the wax and it brings those cocoons up and cleans off the frames pretty good. I can't say clean; it's the most disgusting job you've ever done. So I'm scraping the cocoons off the foundation. I'm actually removing the foundation from the frame, putting in a pile. The heat that I'm using doesn't really warp the foundation, but maybe just a tiny bit. So I stack it up and I put a couple of bricks on it so that it's flat when it cools. And then I'm setting the frames aside. When I'm all done, I'm going to boil up those frames. I say boil up, it won't be boiling, but it'll be hot. It'll be probably 95C. As hot as I can make it in my melter. I don't want to get my melter to boiling temperature. I'll just boil the water out of the jacket, one big kettle. And I'm going to use some washing soda, it's called. I hear people online and see articles. People get washing soda and caustic soda mixed up. I don't know, caustic soda is what you want to use. You do your research. I'm going to use washing soda, and basically it's sodium carbonate. You may think, well, sodium carbonate, well, that's baking soda. Yes and no, it's not baking soda. Baking soda is sodium bicarbonate, so it's very similar. You can make sodium carbonate from baking soda, but you have to cook it. You have to cook all of the moisture out of it, and then it's sodium carbonate. Or you go to the store and you buy a box of sodium carbonate. I'm going to do the latter. And I don't know how much I'm going to put in my melter yet. The melter holds about 45 gallons. So I have to figure out that ratio. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do to those frames. Then I'm going to clean off the foundations. Maybe pressure washer might do it. A lot of them are pretty clean and a lot of them are not. So, after they dry, hopefully I can set them with the pressure washer and just kind of wash the rest of the crap out of them. So that's what I'm doing with the melter. And also then, like I said, I'm building pallets. I'm right down to the end. I've got about 30 pallets to build. So that'll take me probably at least 2 days, 3 days. I've kind of promised I'd go deliver the pallets next week. So I need to wrap it up. Beautiful day. This past number of days here has been just gorgeous. We've been getting temperatures up to 29C, and that's really warm. However, the overnights are still rather cold. Actually, I feel the breeze behind me, and I'm chilly, but I'm sweaty too, so that doesn't help. The overnights are still running, 3 degrees, 5 degrees C. So it's still cool in the morning, and the bees, they don't put up with the temperature swings very well, but they are doing very well. There's lots of eggs, lots of young brood. This little squirrel, he's running under the pallets. He's just running across here. He lives in the ceiling of my building, which is kind of weird, but there's a hole there, and he's taken up in the ceiling. If he doesn't cause a problem, I don't care, but the little buggers chew everything, so he will cause a problem. Okay, so that's what we're putting up with here, taking advantage of nice warm days. You can see my Pro Nukes here with the new queens I bought. So I'm leaving those alone. Got to leave those alone for till next weekend anyway. So today is Tuesday, so it'll be the weekend before I touch those. Maybe even Monday. And what am I doing here today? What am I doing here today? I brought myself some nice fresh comb here, and I'm going to check a few of these little nukes. I know I've seen some beards. I think I saw this one bearding yesterday. You can see that I brought a second up on this one the other day. So these really shouldn't be growing up in here, but I need to just take the time to transfer them into 10 frame equipment, because that's the rotation. These 6 frame boxes, I'll just explain the rotation. The 6 frame boxes is where I make my new colonies for the season. So these will be cleaned out into 10 frame boxes here soon. Then my new nukes, my new queens will go into them. So the new queens that I buy and the new queens that I graft will go into these boxes. They'll run the summer through the winter. In the spring then, in May at some point, they'll come out into 10 frame boxes and the cycle begins again. And that's kind of why I have my nukes placed mostly in this area, so that when they grow up, some of these will get sold, but when they grow up, if they don't get sold, they'll just stay in that spot and be transferred into a wooden box. So I get to play bees today. I've been waiting a long time to play bees, so we're going to check this little guy out, and if it needs a box, then I'm going to put that box that's sitting behind it on there and let it grow up a bit more. If I let that grow into a second, I don't want to push it into swarm mode, but if I let that grow into a second, I can actually split that and then put it in a 10 frame box and get some more value out of that. Maybe I can sell that split or just make another colony with that queen. So enough talk, let's do this. I'm actually going to wear my veil today, because if my suspicion is correct, this will actually be a fairly strong little nuke. You can see how much wind there is here today, or the lack thereof. It's here a beautiful day. It's probably more than 15 C, but maybe not too much more, maybe 20. All right, look at this. What's going on in here? Holy smokes. They've eaten their patty. And they are a big kid now, I'll tell you. There's pollen pants walking around everywhere. That's why it's nice to see. Been a slow build up this year. It's nice to see this doing well. Okay. Now, these little nukes sometimes are a little bit harder to get into, but we'll manage. I'm going to try for the second frame. Second frame in a 10 frame box isn't too bad, but second frame in a 6 frame box is 1 frame from the middle. So, what's the meaning of that? Well, I don't want to pull the queen frame first one. But the closer to the center you get, the higher your chances are of pulling the queen frame. And that looks okay. I'm happy with I'm thrilled with that, happy with that. Gee, I am thrilled with that. And this was a marked queen. This is one of my Ukrainian Carpathian queens. So she'll be yellow, assuming her mark has endured. They've got that. There's syrup on top. There's actually honey on top. We've got a little dandelion flow, and I noticed there's a plum tree over in this side in blossom as well. And they've got it packed with pollen. I think this queen is probably sitting on her butt, not doing anything, because she doesn't have any space. So that's a problem, because that is just the beginning of a swarm. Look at this. Wow. Wow. This is definitely getting split. Definitely getting split. We're going to put a second on her. And this will make an excellent split. I plan to have my splits ready. Last year I was behind because of the weather. But hopefully, like, the weather forecast actually looks good for the next 7 days. Tomorrow's some rain, but wow. So she's got, there's a little bit of open space there, but it's got larvae in it, so she's really okay. What do we got? We got cup down here. Don't drop the frame. I just want to see if they're making any preparations, and that cup had nothing in it. Now I'll say again, I usually say, and you know, for the edification of a newer beekeeper perhaps, if I have anything to add to that conversation, you look in those cups, and the heat coming out of there is just incredible. You look in those cups, she's laying drones here wherever she can, and if they're empty, they're nothing. There's eggs. Every cell has something in it. Look at this. Yeah, she is really wanting to go to town. I really should be putting them in a 10 framer, but I think a vertical expansion will do what's necessary here. Again, I was saying, I keep starting a sentence and then I stop. Yeah, an empty cup is nothing, right? You look in the cup, and if there's larvae or if there's eggs in that cup, then that's something. That tells you something. But an empty cup, pass it by. It's nothing. They make those. They just do that. It's what they do. Okay, so I'm going to stop fussing here. We're just going to get a nice box. I've got some nice fresh comb for them. And make healthy hives and keep them healthy. I can't do this too often. I don't have a plethora of these 6-frame boxes to spare. Should be getting more next week. But what I was saying about splitting then is last year, because of weather, I was behind on my splits. My queens arrived and they had to sit on the kitchen table for a while. While we tried to make splits in the cold weather between the raindrops and all that. This box I scorched to clean it up. It looks a bit messy, but it should be sanitary. Some very, very nice comb. It's hardly been used. One round of brood. It was kind of probably a second that went on last year. So she raised just one round of brood in it, basically. So that should be some nice clean comb for her. and she'll lay that up. We have dandelions. There's dandelions starting over on the other side there. So this one's got a little bit going on. They are working on the patty. This is one of my grafted queens. Let's have a deeper dive. If they're plugging this out, I'll add a second as well. See, once I get to the nice thing about this equipment is once I get to a point where these three on this pallet are all kind of the same, they're doing well, and it's time to push them into down into one box, then I put a queen excluder on, and then I can use 10 frame boxes on the top instead of having to have 6 frame boxes. Because once they're little ball and pants landed on my leg. Once they are pushed down into a single for honey production, then they'll work together with their adjacent colony to fill that honey super. This obviously hasn't been open since last summer. Okay, so they've got winter feed here. They're filling this with nectar. I haven't had syrup on them for a while. And then they've got this packed with pollen. That natural pollen, that's money in the bank right there. Money in the bank. I wish they ate my pollen patties I gave them, but you know, this one's a little feistier. Entrance is on this corner here. It's the entrance is where your guard bees live. Well, it's where they work. Okay. Now there's a bunch of open cells here. I don't think I see eggs in them, but I think what this means, the bees are all around the outside doing their thing, that they've prepared these for laying. When there's an open space, now this open space is just all pollen. This would be a great frame for a cell builder. Which I hope to construct here soon. My spring is late, so I haven't been able to do that yet. And what dictates that timing? Well, just colony buildup, right? I've got to have enough resources in the apiary here to take resources away without having too much of a deleterious impact on my apiary. Now that's right full of young brood, young larvae, and eggs. So she is going to town on that. And that is the same. I might give her a second anyway, because she's kind of packed out. I'm going to give her a second anyway. Get some brood going upstairs. I need lots of brood for splits. I'm going to be making my splits probably on Thursday. I'm going to start that. And my queens should arrive in about a week and a half. So that'll be perfect timing. Let's see. I'll leave this patty down here. They're obviously eating it. They have natural protein. Okay, so we'll give her time to lay into that, and when it comes time for splits, we may have more brood in there to use. Well, this one's got something going on. Pollen pants walking around here. They're still chewing on this stuff. Okay, let's have a look. This is why I don't like taking the first frame. They glue it to the wall, and they'll glue it to the wall way down low, and I can't really see it down there. And then you pull that frame, roll a bunch of bees, and realize the queen is on it. I love working bees on a nice day like today. It's not windy. It's not burning me up, but it's nice and warm out here. We spent a long winter, so get some nice warm weather is good. Okay, so here's a comment. These nukes do not have story frames, so you don't have that little commentary when you open them up. However, we do have similar. You can see here, there's some larger cells. So she's laying those with drones. Every open cell has a larva in it there. Nice nest. And I can see brood all over the next one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just call it right there. And we'll do the same as what we've done previously. And we'll put a nice fresh second on that. Definitely not as populous as that first one. Hopefully she can just make her way right to the second floor and go crazy laying that up. We got bees on this thing. There's a gap there. I'm not squashing them. There's a gap there for the bees. All right. Well, I think that's all for today for the apiary work. So the only thing to do yet is go back to the shop and build pallets. Well, I'm glad I have the time. Those need to get done. So thanks for watching. Take care and have fun. It's Friday, May 19th, 2023. And what an absolutely gorgeous day it is. We've come through 2 days of rainy and quite cold weather. Talking cold as in daytime highs of about 10 C, overnight lows nearly down to freezing, 2 to 3 C I'm talking. So it's really been quite cool, particularly at night. Today the apiary is abuzz, and that's such a great sound for my ears. I haven't heard that much this year at all. Time for me to fess up here. My apiary is sick. I've got my results back from my sampling I sent to the lab, and I was pretty sure I knew what was wrong, and they've confirmed it. Nosema levels in my apiary are beyond extremely high, and my colonies have just been dying for the last 2 months. Colonies that came out of the winter looking like they were pretty decent are either almost dead or dead already. So that's really put a damper on my season. I've had to source nukes from other sellers to satisfy orders that I've taken from people. So that's weighing on my mind. My priority is, customer service. I want the customer to have the best experience possible. And sometimes there's miscommunications and misunderstandings. And it really breaks my heart when that happens, because I do actually do my best to see that doesn't happen. I want to be a good source for nukes. I want to be a good person to deal with, and to have this kind of thing happen really doesn't help that at all. Most people have been very understanding. I've called them. I've made other arrangements for their nukes. I've found nukes for them. And if actually, I'll tell you the truth. If I find nukes that are priced a little bit higher than what I was charging, then I eat the difference. I provide that nuke to the customer for the price that was promised, and I pay the supplier the extra. So I come up negative on those. But it's all about making promises, giving people your word. And if somebody misunderstands my intentions, and sometimes things I can say might be I would say misleading, certainly not intentionally misleading, but can be misunderstood, then that makes me feel terrible, because that's not my character, and I would hope that I would get some grace that way. So what we've got here is I'm starting to make some nukes here, and just out of scraps. Like these nukes are not something I can sell. These are barely enough to maybe make the season and get through to winter, because I need to make numbers, and I've already committed to queens. I've committed to 100 queens, and they're arriving here on Tuesday. I don't have enough bees for that kind of queen support. I've kind of put the word out that I have some queens for sale, and I've sold 2. So there's 2. And my main concern is to get the queens used, right? Sure, I want to recoup some of my cost, but get the queens used. So the good news here is I had actually made up 13 nukes. I don't know, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And I released the queens in those nukes, I believe it was last Friday, a week ago today. And I did push the timing a little bit, but I very carefully checked those nukes today for laying queens. And at this point, we have 100% acceptance and 100% laying among those queens. So I'm extremely happy about that. That's 13. And now I need to make up 100 more. I did make up 18 more, and they're spread throughout the apiary, just in the empty spots here. They're all in the pro nukes, so this is probably some here and along this row. And so I made those up a couple days ago. I put them in my building to make them forget where they live. And I brought them out here this morning and opened the doors. They seem to be happy. So a couple of days, probably Monday, if I have time, Monday, I should do a cell check on those, make sure they have no rogue cells, which they may very well have. That's the normal process. And then Tuesday, the new queens come. And so I can then place the new queens in there. They will have been queenless a good long time, so they should be okay. And I'll just let them candy release and come back in 3 to 4 days and check for release. And if they're not released, then I'll just dump them out. Really dump them out. Not dump out the nuke. Take the queen out of the cage. Let the queen out of the cage. One little bit of good news In my last week's video, I was releasing queens from cages and one of them flew away on me. So when a queen flies away on me, I just kind of leave everything where it is. I leave the hive open and I just walk away. I don't walk in the area in case the queen's in the grass, and I just walk away and I come back about a half an hour later. And then I close it up. And that's exactly what I did. I went back there today, checked that hive, and she is in there and she's laying her heart out. So she did return, and she has taken up residence in there as the resident mama. And I got somebody after me here again. It always happens this way, doesn't it? So today is just kind of clean up and odd jobs out here. We've been cutting some grass, trimming around the fence. I say we, I've got a buddy out here, he's been running a string trimmer for me. Bought a brand new string trimmer, so he's got to be the first one to use it. Kind of a Tom Sawyer thing, right? Hey, look, brand new string trimmer. You want to use it? And do my string trimming for me. Look at this bee, is just all over me. Yeah, I've been trying to work in the wood shop a lot. I'm getting along well on the order, but there's still a lot to do. So I need to keep on that. Next week's going to be extremely busy. I'm really just enjoying this weather. This is so warm. I think we're excess of 20 C. Very sunny, not a lot of wind, just a tiny breeze here, which is nice. And it's a good day to work bees, but I'm resisting because I don't want to hold them from their work. You know, they've got a nice day here. They can be productive and get on with what they need to do. So I need to stay out of their way. And this bee that's flying around my head is going to sting me yet. So maybe I better wrap this up. So for this week, I will say, take care, stay safe, and have fun. Have fun with your bees.